Live trained.
So now we're going to talk all about chipping. Really important part of your game. You want to be really deadly between 100 yards and into the flag. That's super, super important. And you want to learn that first. And it's also going to help you with your full swing. So if we chip correctly, there's a good chance that we're going to have a good full swing. So the first chip shot we're going to use is the bump and run. You're going to use that when you have a lot of green to work with and you can let the ball run a little bit. It doesn't really go much in the air. It'll stay low and just mostly run, hopefully right to the flag. So in the bump and run, you could take any club really between a pitching wedge and I would say a 7-iron. If you want to use something bigger, you can, just depends on you. You want to be very creative with your short game. So I would let's start with the pitching wedge. And all you want to know for the bump and run is you need to have a very narrow stance. So about a club head or two width apart. So not very wide because we don't want it to be an athletic shot. It's more of a finesse shot. You should not be using your lower body too much. So in order to kind of stabilize you and make you a little less athletic, I want a more narrow stance. The next thing you want to do is open your stance. As we talked about earlier in the series, in the beginner series, that open stance, it's used for certain things, and in this case, we're going to use it. Why? Because it's such a short swing that in order to rotate the front hip, we need to have that open stance. Otherwise, it's going to be a little tough to rotate it with such a short swing. So open stance, that front foot comes a little back. It's very narrow. And you'll see it's a little bit more robotic looking than a normal chip, just because it's a very stiff look. You're not using any wrists. The wrists stay quiet. I'm not hinging them, keeping them just back and through. And you could kind of think about it like a putting stroke, if you will, or a pendulum. So I'm not breaking the arms at all. I'm just going back and through. And so if you need more distance, use a 9-iron or an 8-iron. If you don't need it to run as much, you would use a pitching wedge or a gap wedge or something of that sort. So just to give you a little example, I'm gonna have that handle tilted a little forward, so I'm gonna press the grip forward. That way it shoots out, and I'm just gonna go back and through. And that's pretty much your bump and run. You wanna try to keep it in a straight line. So when you practice, I like to put down an alignment rod and just swing my shoulders back and through. I don't want that club head crossing that line when I swing back. I want it straight back and straight through, just like a putt. And that's your bump and run.
Live trained.